Welcome to today's deep dive. Today we are looking at a really interesting guide from HTW Law regarding Ontario's sweeping 2026 employment law amendments. And our mission here is to help you, the listener, navigate the total legal minefield of hiring personal service providers. So like nannies, housekeepers, or even remote assistants.
Right, because if you get this wrong, you are looking at some massive financial penalties.
Exactly. Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine you hire a live-in caregiver, right? You just go online, you grab a generic independent contractor template, sign it, and you think you are legally protected.
Well, spoiler alert there, the Canada Revenue Agency, the CRA, likely disagrees with you.
Yeah, it's this huge misclassification trap. I like to compare this cog in the machine test to renting a car versus hiring a taxi. Like if you provide the vacuum or the laptop and you dictate their schedule and just pay them a flat hourly rate where they have absolutely no risk of financial loss.
They aren't running an independent business.
Right. They are just your employee.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is the practical reality of how these disputes actually play out. Even though technically the legal burden of proof lies with the worker, the Ministry of Labor essentially presumes domestic workers are employees.
Wait, really? They just presume it from the start?
Pretty much, yeah. They assume employee status. So my advice is always to get a legally binding CRA CPT-1 ruling.
Just to shield yourself, right?
Exactly. Get the ruling before you even start so you know exactly where you stand.
Okay, so because these workers are classified as employees, the laws dictate exactly how you can compensate and house them. But this brings up a big question. Wait, if a nanny lives in my house, shouldn't I be able to deduct, market rate rent and the cost of their high-speed internet?
Logic would say yes, but the 2026 rules say no. Private room deductions are strictly capped at just $31.70 per week.
$31 for a whole week?
Yeah, it's incredibly low. And shared rooms, those actually must be provided for free.
That is wild. What if I just try deducting, $50 for the Wi-Fi?
If you do that, you create an illegal sub-minimum wage. The government views that cap as covering basic habitable space, which implicitly includes all your utilities. Plus, they aren't even legal tenants under the Residential Tenancies Act.
Oh, wow. So you can't even go through the landlord and tenant board?
Nope. They're not tenants.
Okay, so since the financial stakes of misclassification and these housing deductions are so incredibly high, I imagine the scrutiny extends entirely through the hiring and firing process.
Oh, absolutely.
So what does this all mean for putting out a job posting today?
Well, the new 2026 mandates are strict. They require public salary transparency for any roles under $200,000. Also, you are completely banned from requiring prior Canadian experience.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and get this, there are $100,000 fines for posting fraudulent ghost jobs. Like just posting to harvest resumes.
$100,000. That is completely insane. What about firing someone?
When firing, those old at any time clauses are now routinely voided by courts.
Oh, because they try to bypass the minimum standards?
Exactly. And when that happens, you are risking massive common law damages. We are talking potentially huge payouts based on their age and tenure.
Wow. So why does all this matter to you? Because the era of the informal handshake agreement is completely over. Treating your private household with the exact same strict legal compliance as a corporation is now, well, it's a necessity.
For sure. And there's one last thing. The new laws mandate that you must disclose if you use artificial intelligence to screen your candidates.
Really? Even for a nanny?
Even for a nanny. It has to be publicly disclosed.
Which is just so fascinating. It really leaves you to ponder, as AI screening infiltrates this deeply intimate process of hiring a live-in caregiver, will this forced legal transparency ultimately override the human intuition we rely on to choose who cares for our families? Definitely something to think about.